there is two ways of leaving this worldly dimension for man. Either fighting with a sword or under the shield.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everybody to another episode of The Hollow Talk. And today we have a special guest, one of MMA's modern day elite coaches, our brother Azamat, OZZY, dugulubgov.
Hey brother, thank you for
Welcome.
a good introduction.
I didn't butcher your name, huh?
Yeah, you did awesome. I know you've been practicing, so
yeah, in front of the mirror.
I'm giving 8.5 stars out of 10.
I take that.
You go ahead.
Azamat dugulubgov.
Dugulubgov.
But it's not fair because I'm practicing every morning.
So
I'm a little bit ahead of you with the experience.
he said that the G was silent. The last one I said no.
No, it is not. You gotta pronounce it. This is the secret.
Because I heard you over and over saying, I'm like, he doesn't say it. He said, no, he says it, but it's like slightly. I'm like, okay. If you don't mind just pulling the mic towards you a bit. Yeah, perfect. I can see, like we've had a brief conversation before we jumped into the podcast. MashaAllah, I'm going to ask you, where do you get this philosophical background? But I've heard the great John Danaher speak a lot, and I can see the influence. I'm not sure if it's the influence, but so I'm going to leave it to you. Like this insight to everything that you say, not necessarily fighting, like just life in general. You have a very beautiful insight to everything, like the way you think about it. Mm-hmm. Is it true?
The interesting fact is, since an early age, I always searched for specific role models, specific characters to take the best traits from. And a lot of times, I couldn't find one complete character. I had real life characters, real life people from whom I was feeding myself in terms of knowledge, skill, or adaptation to their lifestyle, which is like my father, some of my older cousins, some of the seniors in a team where I was training, the guys who are older, who are winning. This is a very common thing. Yet on top of that, for the longest time, I was taking mentorship from specific characters from a movie, a cartoon, some form of animation I would watch, and majority of time it would be the most odd scenarios that I would learn something from when I would be watching these things. When I migrated to United States, that list was expanded. I met tremendous amount of unusual, to my eye, to my vision, unusual individuals, unique individuals, from whom I believed I could take very interesting and unique skills or artistic traits which could benefit me as a person, me as an individual, big time, tremendously. Therefore, as you mentioned, one of them was John Danaher. John Danaher made a huge impact on me as a martial artist. And John Danaher, as a real person, and Miyamoto Musashi, as somebody who already passed this world, those two was a synergy of a mentor in my martial arts life. And trying to learn from those two allowed me to put together the puzzles in my head that was bothered me for so long, because I used to feel like I'm odd, because the thoughts and the vision that I had of martial arts was kind of diverse from what the mainstream martial arts thinkers were. And when I came to John Danaher and I started listening how he talks about certain attacks, certain martial arts principles, certain defensive techniques, and the vision that he has and the demeanor that he has when he talks about combat, I said, oh, finally, I'm not crazy. There is somebody who understands this kind of so-called radio signals that I feel, that I sense subconsciously, but consciously is just due to the still being youth in martial arts, even though I've been in martial arts since I was 6-7 years old. Still, I was seeing myself as somebody like a teenager in a martial arts lifestyle. And when I experienced John Danaher's approach to martial arts, I said, oh, this is the way. This is what I was missing. And finally, I found a coach who speaks my language, who has the same radio signals as mine, and it matched, and instantly the Pandora box was open. I started listening to John's way of explaining techniques, and I remember those rides back home on the bus, on the train, back to New Jersey, because he was teaching in New York. At that time, I used to live in North Jersey, and I used to commute from training back home almost 2 hours. And those 2 hours after every training session with John Danaher would be this mind-storming every word that came out of his mouth and analyzing, modifying, adding, adjusting to my own character, and trying to go with scrutiny through every step of the way that he demonstrated throughout the class. And I would say yes, in my martial arts career, after I moved to the United States, the biggest impact was coming from John Danaher.
But you've been this way since you were born. You tell me. Like
The thing is, yes, I had that feeling. I had that vision of martial arts through scientific and academic approach. It always bothered me when martial arts was viewed as a Rocky movie. I used to feel like something is not right. I don't think this is how fighting goes. And one of the reasons why was from about 12 to 14, 15 years of age, I was physically smaller than majority of my peers. And due to that fact, I was forced to be more strategic in training during live matches, more analytic of situations. Just the sheer power and strength wasn't matching my peers anymore. Those boys, they grew up, and I was at the age of 13, 14, walking around only, I believe, 37, 36 kgs. That is small for that age, where the majority of my peers, they were already around 50 kgs. And just to go out there and to be a tough boy wasn't enough. So I always had to analyze. I always had to come up with ideas on how can I overcome these physical differences that I have with my training partners. And at that time, already subconsciously, I was looking for the ways to bring some form of framework to a battle, some form of structure where each step has its variations and each variation has its branch outs. And if I'm constantly following the formula, I'll be able eventually to get to success. And that was playing in my head in such a clouded forms. And I had a hard time really understanding what I want. I was like, something is not there, something is missing. I think it can be different. And I remember even coming back home, sitting down and trying to draw abstract images, trying to bring my thoughts onto a paper, maybe using that as a means of figuring out what's going on in my head. And I remember I used to draw a lot. And slowly, even through time, unfortunately, I don't have these drawings anymore, but through time, my drawings would start making more and more sense. And I would start actually around age 12, 13, I remember this is when I started drawing. By the age of 14, 15, I used to have a whole journals of my training regimes.
What type of drawings?
So I would just keep track of everything that I do. And I remember this was a time when in my algebra class, I understood how to calculate an average numbers, how to understand what the average number is. And I remember using that formula, simple formula that I learned in school. I would apply and see what my average numbers are and the progress of my physical fitness and training. hey, last week I was able, throughout the whole week, I did X amount of push-ups. This week I did this amount of push-ups. The following week I must do this amount of push-ups in order to hit my average number, and what's not. And sometimes if I need to pick up on something, I would increase my numbers, and I would have some form of framework that would give me a measurement of what I'm doing, while the rest of the boys, they would just show up and they would measure their training success through how well they do in matches. To me, that wasn't enough. So yeah, having all this in my head and moving to United States, and I met a lot of great coaches in United States. Every single coach had contributed to me as a martial artist, but how John spoke to me, how John shared knowledge with me, this was the flip of the coin. This was the opening of the new era. Azamat is who I am now.
I mean, it makes sense because, I mean, I started watching your videos and social media, let's say, for the past 2 years almost. And I remember I used to send Ahmed videos in his direct. Say, bro, see this guy. He explains it in a different way. Like, I instantly followed you and I was hooked.
Wow.
Because I didn't know that you were trained under Jón Danaher. And
not many knows about it.
Yeah, and I like Jón Danaher a lot. I have his book actually. It's that Danaher's Brain, I think.
Yeah.
So I love the way Danaher explains stuff. So it makes sense how I liked the way you coach and the way he and figured out that you trained on them, and it makes sense actually.
Yeah. I used to be fascinated listening to him. I remember even I would show up to practices when I was injured, just to sit down and hear his voice, just to hear how he explains things. He's a man with wealthy knowledge, and not just knowledge of how to break someone's arm, but with a knowledge of social skills, social intelligence, emotional intelligence, and a man who knows how to put an academic approach into delivering and sharing information to a multitude of individuals. He has an excellency in oratorship, and combining all these skills together, plus his dark warrior spirit.
He oozes this stoicism, you know.
Yeah.
With his long rash guard always.
Yeah. He has this persona to him, which really excited me to show up to practice. And I remember at that time I was looking at him as a fountain of unlimited source of knowledge. And now I'm looking at him as I do not want to sound disrespectful, but almost like as my competition. He is my measurement. I want to reach the level where people can recognize and say, wow, there is a Jón Danaher, and after him there is a new level, and there is OZZY dugulubgov. I really want, I'm saying this openly, and this has nothing to do with the respect or disrespect or being delusional. It's just, John taught me this. John taught me to do this. John, when I remember when he was giving me lectures after training, he would pick certain individuals in different sports and would say, look at what the best of the best do, make the most out of it, and try to top it. And that's what I'm doing for the longest time. I've been looking at Jón Danaher's principles. I've been watching him and adding my own taste to it and my own, I believe, new vision. Or maybe something that I'm always looking for, things that John could have overlooked, you know, and I'm trying to fill those small areas, because that is my responsibility as a person who trained under him, as a person who's in the martial arts, where if I don't become better of a generation of the coaches who taught me, I failed them.
It is the highest form of respect in my eyes.
Because if I do that correctly, then I would be expecting somebody after me to top what I did, and then we're all winning. So yeah, it's his formula, and I'm using it, and I'm enjoying it. And even when I'm watching his interviews, sometimes I search for certain interviews that he teaches. What I'm saying, he teaches. He gives interviews, and I do an interesting trick. When I listen to the question that the interviewer asks him, and I pause the video, and I answer the question myself from my perspective. Then I hit the play and I listen what John would say.
Interesting.
To see where am I right now in the terms of knowledge, analyzing, and expressing my thoughts and my knowledge out loud compared to John Danaher. And I do that, and it's going very well so far.
I'm gonna steal this technique.
And I actually think it's the biggest form of respect to have your mentor as your threshold. It's not disrespectful.
Oh, 100%, yes.
I want to go back to the abstract drawings. I didn't fully understand. You say you used to get these thoughts and you would try to draw on paper. Like, what were the drawings? Like, what did the drawings represent?
It was an abstract. I didn't know what it was. It was a free flow.
So
I would allow my hand to go, and I would have these big pieces of paper. I would lay them on the table. I would take a pencil, and it had to be a pencil. I couldn't use any colors or anything, because the moment I would start applying colors, I would feel like I'm limited to those colors now. But whenever it's the dark, regular pencil on a white paper, after I draw it, as I look at it, now it's infinite. I can play with it in my head. I can decide what this can be. It's a raw, fundamental product. And I used to just let my hand go. I would sit down, I would think, and whatever my hand feels like doing, I would do it. Sometimes it would be straight lines. Sometimes it would be shapes that resemble circle, shapes that resemble triangle. I remember I used to draw a lot of arrows. Arrows, nonstop, different arrows, pointy things. And later, when I moved to United States and I was studying psychology, I understood the meaning behind it, why it was arrows, why it was very specific shapes later. But at first, it was just a free flow, and it's something that really liberated me, because often when a person has unique thoughts, what happens is it makes him feel alone and lonely. Okay? And if it happens at an early age, not many can deal with the emotional disbalance and with the emotional roller coaster that you get when you feel like you're maybe different. And it's not necessarily being worse than somebody. If a lot of times I've witnessed kids in class, in my class, that would do so good with a subject, they would hold back not to separate themselves too much from the rest of the class. You know, so naturally as a kids, we want to belong to the group. So we do not want to excel in something too much or fall behind too much. Both is a emotional pressure. And I remember I used to feel like I'm worse than others. I used to feel like I'm not as good as others. How come the others, they're happy showing up to training? I'm not happy. How come when they do sparring sessions, they're so free, they're flowing, and me, I'm so confined and feeling like every time I go home after sparring, I was like, I could have done better. Like I was held back by something. It's always like it was something in my chest, something in my hands, something in my legs that were becoming very heavy and dragging me down. So it was bothering me because I used to think, hey, what I'm doing is not right. It can be done differently. And all these thoughts, they were messy in my head. So putting that on a paper would liberate me for a moment and would allow me to feel like I had a conversation with somebody. Mm-hmm. So I was doing that, but hey.
So to follow up, I was going to ask you the most common shape that you came up with. Was it the arrows? And what did you find out to be the meaning
Ambition.
of that? Ambition.
Yes. Ambition, strive for something, aggression to a degree, but as I grew up, I understood it wasn't in aggression, it was assertiveness towards a goal. Ambition, assertiveness, goal-oriented mind, and a person who seeks for improvements or for change, per se. Yeah.
And when you arrived to the US, were you fluent in English already, or?
No. I had zero English when I came to the United States.
English.
Yes. Zero English. And I fell in love with the sound of the English language. First two individuals who made me fall in love with English was Anthony Hopkins and Denzel Washington. I remember I was watching a movie of them, and it was in Russia. I was watching this movie. I forgot which one is it. Which one was it? But it wasn't with the translation. It was only with the subtitles. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time I heard their voice. I heard the vibration behind their voices, how they pronounce words, and the emotions behind their speech. And I remember I didn't understand a word of what they were saying, but I was hooked. I said, I want to speak like that. I love how they talk. I love how they express themselves. It's just so profound, so direct, and he has each sound has its own character that's matching the persona of the person speaking the words. And I said, I like this. So I fell in love with the sound of the English language from a very specific individuals. And when I moved to the United States, I just attacked English language. I was dying to attain the ability to speak in this language. And I just started bluntly reading newspapers, books, even without understanding, breaking my tongue. Well, it was so challenging, but I did the fitness of the tongue to understand the pronunciation of the words, and I would listen a lot. I would watch. I'm a movie lover. I love cinema, so I would rewatch my favorite movies, but this time in English with the English subtitles. And I would do this. I would spend probably 4 hours per day just watching movies in English like this. I would wake up, watch a little bit. During my breaks between training, I would watch. And before I go to sleep, I would put the movies, the ones that I know already very well, and I would rewatch them, read, listen, imitate the characters who are speaking. And I believe within 6 months, I was already being able to express myself to a degree. Within 1 year, I was reading, writing, and I believe within 2 years, people were already thinking that I lived in the United States for so long. Mm-hmm. But I moved to the United States 2008, so it's been some time. But till this day, I'm practicing my English every single day, and I still believe I'm way behind.
I'm going to ask a fun question now. What are some of the movies that shaped your taste for cinema? Like, first of all, have you been a fan of any of the new movies coming out lately? Or you're just old school, you visit?
No.
I feel like you're historical, like Troy, those movies.
Yeah.
Swords.
Yes. I'll say it right now. So I do love new movies too, but now every time a new movie comes out, especially in a genre that I'm interested in, I'm always skeptical, especially with the new Hollywood agenda, the way how they make movies and stuff like that. I'm always like turning the movie on, expecting some shit is going to open up and I'm going to cancel the movie. I'm not watching this, It's very unfortunate, but once in a while, they're doing a very good job.
Very few studios are
yes,
doing the old school
there's still,
method.
and there's big talks actually that Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, they're investing their own funds to create their own studios, and I think they already made it. I'm not sure, but hopefully something will come back. Something will come back to a way it was before. But what shaped my love for cinema was interesting movies. First movie was a Gladiator, the one that really made me fall in love with details of the movie. Previous to that, action movies, pretty much all the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and there was this pretty old movie. I'm not sure if many people remembers this one. It's called American Ninja. With
don't tell me
with Michael Dudikoff, I believe.
Is it the fat guy?
No. It's a blue eye, blonde guy.
Yeah.
What was the name of the character? Let us see.
It's this movie.
Here we go. That's my man. Yes.
Michael
Dudikoff. Yes. Oh,
Dudikoff,
I remember. Steve James. Here we go. This movie actually was he was my first superhero. Watching this man, learning the art of ninja, and being superhero in these movies was amazing. Another movie that's till this day probably it's in my top list of movies because this movie shaped so many ideas in my head, which till this day I'm slowly uncovering and slowly working on as my little hidden projects. It's the movie called Best of the Best.
Best of the Best.
Oh my God, this movie, as I speak about it, I'm getting chills. Best of the Best. Here we go.
Ooh, I know this one.
This movie is just hits the spot like no other. It was Philip Ree was in this movie. Eric Roberts. Yes. It's an amazing cinema. The way how they did it is just, like I said, this movie checks so many boxes in my criteria of a good movie. Okay. Right now, I believe if people watch it, it may seem a little corny to them because of the old school play, the way how it's done. But
let me guess, you liked also Jean-Claude Van Damme movies or no?
I did to a degree, but where I come from, we used to look at him as a little of a clown, almost like unrealistic, you know. But Arnold was our thing. Yeah. Arnold matched our mentality a little bit more than Van Damme.
And how would you get exposed to the movies back then in Russia?
My father was big on movies, and he was the first one who brought a VCR player into our street. And he used to bring cassettes from Moscow. We had a Toshiba color TV by us, so all my neighbors' boys, they used to come by my house for us to watch a movie with colors. It's like, it was incredible. So I was exposed to all these top action movies.
And how, your father would bring how many movies? Because I remember even us back then, we would watch a movie like more than 100 times.
Yeah, oh yeah. But by us, it was the same thing. Every time he makes a trip to Moscow, he would bring like around 5 cassettes, I don't remember. And alongside of these movies, one thing that also shaped my vision of combat and my character was a animated series, Japanese animated series of the samurais, and Kenshin Ronin, it's called. Kenshin Ronin and Vampire Hunter D. These 2 animated series, they really sparked a sense for a battle in my head.
So this is
Kenshin Ronin. Kenshin. Yes. This one, and Vampire Hunter D.
There's a new adaptation, by the way.
Yes. They made a lot of new adaptations. They actually made the movie as well.
Of this one.
Yeah. They made a movie as well. It was on Netflix for some time, but Vampire Hunter was the very first one because this was drawn. This animation was drawn before I was born. It was 1985. Yes, 1985. This was drawn, and this character of a dark-looking appearance, almost like an evilish appearance, who does good with the noble intentions hooked me so much. I was like, this is what I want to be. I want everybody to think I'm a bad guy, but I want to do good things without anybody knowing I'm doing good things. You know, like so this character has shaped my vision of martial arts, even though he is not playing a martial artist in this animation series, but it's just certain things about him, certain movements he was doing, certain acts he was performing within these series really shaped my vision of combat, my vision of avatar that I'm building within me at that age. Yeah. And this all happened at the early age. So that's why it is very important. What do you expose your kids at the early age? Because I was exposed to this until this day. All these moments linger in my day-to-day thoughts, one way or another. You know, it is crucial what the child sees and hears and feels at the early age, because, But
it's tough.
It stays. It ingrains in your brain.
These days, in modern day, it's tough. Like,
very dangerous. Yes.
You're a bit older than us, but you're still young, by the way. You're 37, right? 30.
36.
30, you're young. So, and you're one generation, semi-generation before us almost. But in our days, even, I mean, we were limited. Like, you had TVs, and then we had cassettes, and then the evolution was with the CDs. So we've been through it all. But these days, the kids, it's unlimited.
Oh, yeah, unlimited.
The YouTube, like, I have a nephew, they can see everything, anything.
Yeah.
So
very dangerous.
I remember my day, we used to go to KFC. A certain day, my father used to take me. When we get the big bucket meal, they give me like a Jet Li movie. That made my week. Watching that movie back to back.
Yes. You pretty much understand. You're in the end of that era. You're in the end of that era, and it was amazing. So, these things they shape you, they influence you. It's same way as you have a mentor who influences you. These things they also do, and like I said, coming back to a very first part of our conversation we had where we were talking about the mentors, each and every character that I was admiring through the cinema was becoming my mentor to a degree. For example, when I watched The Gladiator, when I watched Mel Gibson movies of Patriot, Braveheart, I was just, oh my God, certain things he does, certain ways he speaks, I was like, oh my God, I want to be this. Why am I not like that now? You know, and accumulation of assertive ambition to match certain standards of your mentors shapes you.
Definitely.
One thing I wanted to touch up on, which was interesting, you brought up Miyamoto Musashi.
Correct.
So I've read the book of
Five Rings.
Yeah, the Earth,
which translation did you read? By which author?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually.
There is about 37 different translations of that book, and every single one of them brings a different explanation to Miyamoto Musashi's philosophy.
The one I have is black with red.
No. There's the book covers are very varies on the time when it was printed, but you have to find one that is translated by Alexander Bennett. Let me just double check on my phone if I have that book in my phone. Alexander Bennett, if I'm not mistaken.
This version.
Yes, correct. Alexander Bennett. Yes. And this is the most comprehensive translation of Miyamoto Musashi's Book of Five Rings. And the reason why I chose Alexander Bennett's translation of the very first one. The reason why I chose this one is because I read the biography of Alexander Bennett, and he took years before translating the book. He took years. What he did, he didn't allow himself to be allowed to translate Miyamoto Musashi's masterpiece just due to a fact that he knows Japanese. He said, this is not enough. I cannot do this. He moved to Japan. He studied in Japan. He trained kendo in Japan. He visited old sites in Japan. He tried to understand the spirit of Japan. And only then he sat down and he put tremendous amount of effort, time, and resources into understanding every chapter of the book, of the masterpiece of Miyamoto Musashi. And that's why, I read about 12 Book of Five Rings, 12 different translations. Out of 12, I haven't read all of them yet, and I feel like I don't have energy to do that again. I think I'm gonna stop on Bennett's translation because it's sufficient enough to my criteria and to my philosophy. The way how he translated, I feel like, oh wait, this is it. The way how he talks, this is it, because he didn't just translate the words. He was translating certain things with the explanation of things. He would be like, listen, there are certain words you cannot translate to English, okay? He says, but this is the meaning, so don't deviate. Don't think it's this just because it looks in a certain way. Go deeper into it. So by reading this book, the Book of Five Rings, to me was like first time reading it again. And it made so much more sense. And I'm so happy that I read his version as a last version of all the Book of Five Rings I read, because every time I would read, something new would open in my mind. But when I read his version, I was like, wait a minute, this is it. Now I'm mature in this book. And I think I understood the framework of this book. And believe it or not, every time I read this book again, it just makes more and more sense. So if anyone would be interested of reading the Book of Five Rings, it would be very beneficial and productive to read it, the translation by Alexander Bennett.
Thank you for that. Well, I'm buying it today. To be honest. You have to read it, the Book of Five.
I did.
You did?
Yeah, when I was preparing for my first point, you remember? I used to listen to it in the sauna room as I'm cutting weight and.
Yeah. It's I would give a warning. You have to be very careful when you read this book. Actually, when you read any book, I have discovered this maybe 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago, I gave myself a new rule. And I understood one of the problems. I remember I was in a moment and I said, oh shit, I know why new generation people cannot retain information. I think I realized this. And the moment of illumination to me was subconsciously when I was reading a book of Walter Russell. Oh, that's another Pandora box. Don't ask me yet. Let me finish my subject, because if I start talking about Walter Russell, we're going to stay here until Fajr time. When I was reading his book, subconsciously, I start reversing and keep reading chapter 1. I finish chapter 1, I go to rest, I go do my daily things. Next day, when I have time to read book, opposed to continuing the chapter, like, no. Let me do that again. I feel like I need to hear that again. Boom, restart, read it again. And I caught myself reading one chapter of Walter Russell's book for almost 4 weeks. I said, wait a minute. It's been 4 weeks I've been reading the same chapter. And how is that possible that every time I read it, I feel like I learned something new? It was incredible. At that moment, I set myself with a special rule. When attaining a knowledge, it's like pouring a drink into this cup. You pour X amount, only the amount that this cup can contain. That's the amount of knowledge I got today. What's next? Something has to happen with this knowledge, correct? I have to drink it. When I drink this, and there is space for more knowledge, only then I will add it. And what is the analogy of drinking the substance of this cup? Actions. Every time we attain knowledge, if we don't put that knowledge into actions and we're trying to attain more knowledge, what's going to happen to the substance of this cup as I'm pouring more? It's going to spill. Mm-hmm. Will the amount of water in this cup change by me keep putting water in it? No. It's only going to be wasted. Therefore, I said, once I fill this cup, I don't pour anymore. I put this on the side, I close it, and I hold this cup until I finish it. Look, there is still space to put more sparkling water in this one, right? I'm not gonna. Until I finish this, I'm not going to add anything to it. Let me enjoy this. Let me feel this. Let me understand the substance of this. Let me not rush. And only when I complete this and my cup is empty, I would say, my brother, can I have more? You understand?
Yeah.
So I set myself up with this rule, and I started reading or studying things through this framework. A little bit, but for a long time. I said, that's how I'm going to do it now. And believe it or not, my progress was drastically sped up just due to me slowing down. I start progressing way faster. I start understanding the book way better. And I said, the new generation, they have this problem. They watch a 90 seconds reels, and they swipe to the next one. Within those 90 seconds, they already swipe into the next one. And their brain is just overloaded. The drink keeps spilling. And then at the end, they think they pour so much, but now it's just some weird mixed substance. They pour apple juice, they pour orange juice, they pour water. They think it keeps increasing. Yeah. Now let me learn this one. Now I need to learn that one. Now I need to learn this one. Boom, 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 boom. They put everything together, and when they try to drink, they think in their mind it's a combination of all of it. And all those drinks, the summary of that is going to be consumed by them. But no, my friend, you are mistaken. You're drinking some weird ass mix. Maybe it will benefit you to a degree, but this is not what you expected.
And I would add to that analogy. It's not the same kind of liquid.
Yeah, that's it. It's
some can be oil, which will overflow.
Yeah. It's not the same anymore. It's a mess now.
Yeah.
It's digest it, understand it. Give your brain a chance to understand. The brain loves when we slow down. The brain works faster when we slow down. Remember that. When the information that comes in slows down, the brain opens the doors. It starts just going to so many different directions. It starts working way better when we receive a very specific information that designated to that specific day. And usually when we do consume information, this is something that I learned from the studies of Walter Russell. It's about 2 hours per subject.
Who's Walter Russell?
Walter Russell is right now holding the crown of my mentors. This is a man of 7 lives. And if you want to study about him, do not Google him, because Google blocks so much about him. Go use different search engines. I usually use DuckDuckGo.
Well, I don't have to Google. I have you here.
Yeah.
So tell me about Walter Russell.
Yes. Walter Russell is one of the very, very unique people on this planet. I'm going to take it to extreme. When I read about him and I started studying him, I said, how come he is not mentioned by God? How come he's not a prophet? How come he's not in the Bible or Quran? How come? He is a special, very unique human being. This is a man who lived past 9 years old, until his last day, he was producing products, craft, art, and being physically active in a way where people in their 40s couldn't be. You know, he was a elite type of a man. They were calling him a man of 7 lives, a man of 7 professions, or a man of 7 lives. He was able to master any craft that he desired. He was a master in science. He was a master in spirituality, understanding the religion. He's the one who wrote the book, The Universe One, who scientifically explained God for the first time in the 18th centuries. God was explained in formulas, and the whole scientific community of the planet put a big cross on him. They said, "No way, you're going against what we're teaching." He's the first one who synchronized science and God, who said, God gave us the science to come back to him, to understand him. And obviously the scientific community of that time, they said, no, because at that time, maybe till this time too, the scientists, they're trying to go against God to a
That's
degree.
for sure, not me.
Yeah. So I mean, I cannot say about everybody, because I've been hearing a lot of scientists actually trying to prove the existence of God or something out there that designed all this, and they keep saying, hey, this just cannot happen on its own. There is a design behind it. There is a reasoning behind it. Therefore, he was highly athletic. He was a master in economics, master in music, master in painting, master in sculptures, a master in architecture, a master of business. This man basically was elite at anything he was doing.
He's
and
American,
he left school at the age of 8, I believe. He stopped going to school because people used to think he's stupid. Yeah. And he at that age, he understood. He says, no. This is not the way I'm supposed to attain knowledge. And it's incredible. If I start talking about him, like I said, we're going to sit here until Fajr time. It's just, to me, right now, out of my mentors for living in this worldly dimension, like I'm repeating myself, specifically for this world, okay? Limited mentor is him. He's the number one.
When did you find him?
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah, and he completely changed the way how I operate day to day.
Anything you can refer to us, like he has books, he has...
If you would want to read anything about him, I would refer you to read the very first book of his. It's called The One Who Found the Secrets of the Universe. Give me 1 second. I have on my phone his book. The Man Who Tapped the Secrets of the Universe. I listened to this book probably 5 times already.
Do you listen more than you read?
Now I listen more than I read because of my tight schedule. I don't have time to sit down. So as I do things, as I walk, sometimes as I jog, sometimes as I drive to work, I listen. So The Man Who Tapped the Secrets of the Universe by Glenn Clark. Correct. This book will open the doors into the world of Walter Russell. Only after you read this book, I suggest you to start reading Walter Russell's books. Because if you jump in and you start reading his books without a healthy introduction to the persona of Walter Russell, you may have a hard time understanding and accepting certain things he says in a book. Because in his books, he doesn't explain himself. He just gives. He doesn't need to explain himself. All right? Therefore, Glenn Clark did the work for us. He explained him to us for us to easily get to know Walter Russell.
Okay. So it's like an introduction to him, basically.
Glenn Clark was sent on a mission to find a secret formula to success. So he started interviewing and visiting the most successful people, the most unusually successful people around the world. And Walter Russell became his top choice after he interviewed tremendous amount of successful people. He made Walter Russell as his pinnacle of a success in this world.
I'm gonna research this guy a lot now.
Like I said, if you do, before you do any research on him, just listen to this book. No, not this one, not this one. The The Man Who Tapped the Secrets of the Universe. Yes, correct. Specifically this one. A lot of people reading the book Universe One.
Yeah.
It's one of his very famous books of Walter Russell. Okay, Universe One. Don't rush to read it. It's way too complicated. It's way too complex without introduction. First get introduced to him, then go. But he's an amazing persona.
And when you listen to books, because reading and listening are two different activities. Like when you read, you can take notes, you can highlight. How do you make sure that you have water in your cup when you're listening? Because sometimes you can be idle listening, so your brain is somewhere else. So
you're right. There are times when I'm listening and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, tick, tick, tick. I have to click few buttons back to hear again what happened. But I have this interesting psychological secret on listening to knowledge. When I do listen to a knowledge, I mumble the words of what I'm listening. So I'm engaging into the sounds that I hear physically. Okay? As I hear the sound, I repeat the words, even if I repeat them quietly, but I repeat them to let my lips and my tongue muscles, the sensors, to physically produce the words that I'm listening to. This way, I'm engaging extra sensors, extra sensitivity into the information that I'm receiving, allowing my brain to digest and analyze information from different perspectives, from a physical perspective and from a hearing perspective, okay? To tap that, also after I listen, I pause and I write certain words or certain sentences that was important to me. I write it in my notes. I'm engaging even more now. I heard, I said, I drew, and I saw. All this facilitates information retention in the brain.
Dropping gems on us today.
I'm enjoying this way too much. I'm enjoying this way too much. It's an
I
honor.
want to ask you. You once said that MMA is like engineering. Can you explain that a bit?
It's not just like engineering, but you can perhaps look at it from the engineering point of view. You know, structuring certain puzzles, putting certain gears together, seeing which one works better, adjusting, analyzing, and thank you, my friend. And putting things together. But yeah, I would say, seen from the engineering perspective, MMA fits 100%. Yes.
Because the way you break down, like we said earlier, the clips we see when you explain moves or positions, you break them down to like the smallest detail. Like where do you put the finger? Where is your everything? So, I mean, it makes sense that you see it as engineering or as if you're like piecing a puzzle. You're not like an ordinary coach. Like, guys just have an underhook, pull his leg, throw him down. You know, like you give specific, intricate details. And now it makes sense a bit.
Yeah. You know the sad part? I hate social media. I fucking despise recording videos and sharing them on Instagram. And I hate the way how they are shared to a public. because those 90 seconds of the videos that I share and people compliment and saying, oh my God, how detailed this is, what a coaching this is. From my own judgment, I'm like, that's fucking 5% of the move. Why are you so happy, guys? What is the matter with you? You didn't even see half of the technique and you're already applauding me? You understand? It's like, I want to get mad at everybody who's happy to see my moves, who's supporting me. I want to get mad at them, not because they're doing something bad, because they're not really seeing the truth behind it, the full extent of it. They only see the book cover and they're already enjoying it so much. And some of them are actually benefiting from it. From the little bit that I share on the social media of those 90 seconds clip explanations or a tutorial view of the technique, a lot of people are benefiting from it. I'm receiving tremendous amount of messages on my Instagram or people saying, oh my God, I used your technique in my fight and it worked. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, how the hell it worked if you saw only like a small portion of my technique? Good for you, buddy. I'm impressed. I'm impressed because I know when I demonstrate these techniques, you guys are not seeing even 10% you're not seeing. There is so much more details behind it. And I'm forced for the sake of the goddamn social media for people to not to skip my videos and sit down and pay attention to what I show, to give information as a sugar. Down, shoot. And next reel. Go watch the next video now. You understand? It bothers me that I'm doing that. It bothers me that I'm part of the system of sugary information. It kills me. It hurts me. There are a few times I actually give up. I say, oh, that's it. I'm not going to share this fake information. I call it fake because it's not complete. It is not a lie that I'm showing. It is not wrong what I'm showing. But to me, to my own personal judgment, fuck that. You're giving them incomplete product. What are you bragging about? Oh, you're such an amazing coach. You gave them 10% of the move. And they think that's the move. It kills me. Unfortunately, to get the momentum, to get the attention of these people, you have to give them the sugar. And once they get a taste of the sugar, and if they are intelligent enough to follow up on it and say, wait a minute, what does OZZY have in his subscription? What's the difference of me watching the 90 seconds reel versus his videos that he posts on a subscription that lasts 8-10 minutes? It's pretty much the same move. I already saw everything there is, but wait a minute. There is more to it. Let me double check. And they go deeper and they see what I share in my subscription. Those people I'm happy with because now they're like, oh, here we go. That's what you're showing to your students. And then there is another level to it. I have online followers who turn into people who travel from overseas to come and train with me here in Dubai. They are the ones who is completing the cycle. If I show you the replies and the comments of people who came and who trained with me in person, they're like, oh my God, the transition, the graduation from being your follower, liking your reels, your short videos, turning into your subscriber, feeling like, oh, I just discovered completely new dimension, and then showing up in person and training with you in person, this was a journey. This was a journey. So that's why me being very honest and unbiased with my work, it bothers me that people fall in love with the short clips that I'm sharing of the techniques, thinking that that's an awesome move, that's an awesome technique. You know what I mean? Whereas myself, looking at those videos, I'm critiquing myself. I'm judging myself, saying, you motherfucker, you just show them. Why did you skip this? Why you didn't show the full move, you know? But every time I even did analysis, every time I'm trying to share a longer video with my audience, talking a little bit more about the details, I get about 3 times less views and shares on the videos. Whereas if I quickly just run through the main key points, hit it, skip a lot of details, and just give them something with a cool music behind it, everybody's losing their mind. I'm like, oh, come on. Why?
It's the same thing. Like even for podcasts, like before we used to put a lot of music in the background, a lot of it affects. Like
Yeah.
people want the fast pace, fast information, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom,
yeah,
boom, with
unfortunately.
something interesting, boom. and
What
then
we
it's
were talking
finished.
about the cup.
Exactly.
They want to keep filling,
Yeah.
keep filling, more.
But I mean, don't feel like you're doing something wrong, because even like for the people that only watch the 90-second videos and apply it in their fights
Yes,
and it works,
yes,
I mean,
yes.
that's a testament.
Yes, that's why I keep doing it. That's why I keep doing it. If I truly felt like this goes against my morals and this is something that I cannot accept, I would never do it. But even though there's a portion of it that I don't like and I'm not happy about, I'm not content about, which is them not seeing the full picture, the full spectrum of the technique, but still knowing that, hey, even though it's a short clip, they benefit from it, they like it, and possibly they can turn into students of mine who can pass into a next stage, such as subscription, or perhaps coming in person, getting to work with me.
What is your perspective on social media in general? Like I sense I wouldn't say hate, but aggression towards social media.
It is not aggression. It is just me stating the facts of the other side of the coin. I see social media as a tool. Social media, it's a sword. Depending of who wields the sword, the results of the social media will be stated. If the evil person wields the sword, unnecessary lives are gone. If the worthy man with chivalry and nobility wields the sword, he saves lives and he produces something, correct? So I see social media as a tool, as a sword. How you wield it will determine what is social media in your society, in your world.
Going to your social media, there was one of your Monday posts where you speak about philosophy and stuff like that. And I want to link it with something Alexander said after his win today. He said, adversity is a privilege. And I remember you saying that strength is the fruit of your weakness.
Yes.
And I'm like, I saw the relation between these two. First of all, adversity is a privilege. What do you think about this statement?
What do I think of the saying that adversity is a privilege? I mean, it's a beautiful saying. It sparks positive emotions in so many people. It's good. Let them hear it. But to call it a privilege, I wouldn't say it. I would say adversity, it's a choice. To call it privilege. Because anybody can have adversity if they wish to. Privilege, it's not something that you can wish for and have it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. What's the definition of the word privilege? Is it something that you can choose to have privilege?
No, it's you're almost given.
Thank you.
it, yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
A choice, on the other hand, is something that's up to you. So adversity in life can be chosen or enforced upon you. Therefore, if it's forced upon you, you have it. Great. But if your lifestyle or your life environment is in a way where there is no adversity is pushed upon you, and yet with a conscious mind, you choosing to go through adversity, fucking hell, you're a man. So I wouldn't necessarily disagree or agree with that saying, but if we dig deep into the meanings behind it, I would say adversity, it's a choice. It's not a privilege.
It's true, yeah.
And strength being the fruit of your weakness.
Did I say it's a fruit of your weakness? Did I say it like that?
Strength is the fruit of your weakness. Yeah, that was, I have it in quotation, meaning that I quoted you.
Yeah, it was maybe at that time I I missed a few words, but
it's an old video.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
something recent. So
yeah, maybe there is something more behind it, because strength, it's the fruit of your path from weakness. It choices from your weakness state. Okay, we all start with weakness. Show me one human being who was born and being independent on his first day. We're weakless, good for nothing, powerless creatures for longest time of our beginning of life. Okay, 14 years old, 15 years old. Some men at the age of 20 are still weak, are not independent. All right. Therefore, we start with nothing. We start with one thing that every single one of us have, a choice, what to grow from the soil of weakness. Okay, how will you use it? And from there you grow your fruits. Yeah, but you have to recognize you're weak. You have to recognize our feet as a man are planted in infirmity. It's we start in the dark beginnings. You know, the animal in us always wants bad things. You know, we have to accept this. We're not starting as neutral. We're not starting in neutral. And that also goes back to the philosophy that I teach my students. Majority, whenever students come to me, especially beginners, I never start teaching the techniques to them from neutral positions. Majority, about 90% of the techniques that I teach my beginners, they all start from negative positions. To remind them, we all starting behind, buddy. We all starting behind. When you're 5 years old, you're behind the 6 years olders. When you're 6 years old, you're behind the 7 years olders. You are always behind, buddy. Accept this. This is not a negative thing. This is the actual thing. So starting with weakness, starting with animal characteristics, and becoming a gentleman, a character of chivalry and nobility, is the fruits of your labor. That's it. It's what we call strength.
Acceptance. Like, I think that's...
Recognition.
Yeah. No.
I do not want to accept that my beginnings are little animal characteristics. A child doesn't care about how he looks, and this one he eats, he just eats. It's so pure. It doesn't have the social clues yet, right? Like, I don't want to accept that. I want to recognize that and build from there. Accepting means that's it.
Yeah, it is.
We stopped. That's it. No acceptance. I never want to accept anything that I possess now, I know now, I have now, or I've done. That's it. I don't accept it. I recognize it, which gives me a room for actions now. Recognition. Now what do we do with it? Acceptance. Okay, I accepted. What's next? It's a little bit hard for me. At least that's my perspective. I may be wrong. Again, I'm only human.
That's beautiful. Because I was gonna ask you, like, one of the most difficult things to do for a human is to accept something. Like, it's a skill, I would say.
Yeah.
Like learning how to accept. But you said acceptance is not enough. Recognition.
Again, please don't take my word as absolute. Like,
no, it makes sense.
Yeah,
what I'm saying is it makes sense.
Fits. Yes. It just fits many different aspects of life. It's not an absolute way. It's not absolute path. There are certain things we have to accept. There are certain things we have to recognize. But from the point of view of a martial artist, for example, I do not want to accept a loss. Fuck that. I lost. I don't accept it. I recognize today his hand got raised. I don't want to accept it. I cannot be okay with this. I recognize this. I fucked up this night. But I'm not accepting it. No way. Anything, any shortcoming can be settled in my heart as acceptance. Then I'm gone. Then I'm dead.
Can you accept the result? Can you say I accept the result?
No, I recognize the result, but I want to accept it. I will do something about it.
You see,
I
for
want to
example,
kill that result.
It's a form of defeat in your eyes, right?
In my eyes, yes. In my personal avatar that I've been building in myself, accepting it, it's almost like I really lost it now.
Giving up.
Yeah. I give a rational recognition to what just transcended. Nevertheless, I'm trying my best to tap that, to kill that. For example, I have interesting losses. I love my losses. I pray I never forget my sins, my losses, and my mistakes until my last days. I never want to forget them. I want to be forgiven for them, but I never want to forget them.
Yeah.
My very first time I lost a big grappling match. Like, when I moved to United States, I was doing a lot of grappling tournaments. And I would lose, win. It's like, okay, but first time as a blue belt, I entered a 8-man tournament. And I got invited to it. I was the only blue belt, 19 years old, athlete in that bracket versus guys like who's winning black belt divisions already for the past 5 years. Some UFC fighters were that in that division, and everybody was black belts. I was the only blue belt, and I was considered as a new thing in New Jersey. I was like, who the hell is this guy leg locking everybody, okay? This match is actually on YouTube.
It's a Naga, right?
No,
Not
Grappler's
Naga?
Quest.
Okay.
Yeah, Grappler's Quest was the thing back then. You know, UFC fighters were competing, OADC champions were competing. Grappler's Quest was the thing. So I'm entering into this 8-man tournament, and my very first match, I faced this high-level technician, black belt. He was specialized in leg locks too. And I said, I'm going to show everybody, you know, young, fresh, hungry. I come out, and it was first time. It's almost like a live recorded, big cameras. In my head, I was like, oh, this is a very important match for me. The match is going. I'm attacking this black belt. I'm keeping him on the back foot. Attacking, submission after submission. Boom, boom, winning on points. Winning and everything. And at the end, he got me with a heel hook with my own technique. I was devastated. I couldn't accept this. I was like, no way. But you lost. I know. I recognize this. I cannot accept this. I turned into a maniac in training. The amount of drills I was doing, the amount of fight analysis, match analysis I was doing, crazy. I was messaging promoters left and right. Please organize a super match, me and him. Just me and him. Please, guys. Finally, one guy, his name is Eugene, I forgot his last name, organizes a small super matches tournament in his gym. And he invites Jojo, this guy's was name. He invites him. And I come and I destroy this guy. Okay? The sad part, I couldn't submit him, but it was like, I don't know, it was 8-0 or 9-0, something like it was one way. It was bothering me that I didn't submit him. Nevertheless, I told myself, if I accepted that day that I lost that match, I wouldn't be able to be as assertive, as ambitious towards taking back what he took from me. I still feel like he won more from me than I did from him. I beat him in points. He beat me in submission. He made me tap, you know. But it's just after that, there was a third rematch was coming, me and him, and he gave up. He says, no, I'm not going to do it. He got himself out of the competition. We were both in the same weight class. He personally came up to me. He said, I'm taking my name out of the bracket because of you.
Yeah, that guy is crazy.
Yeah, he's like, I know you. He's like,
He felt the submission.
Yeah. He's like, I'm a coach. He says, I cannot afford getting hurt, and I know you're gonna go for it. He's like, you and me, we better not go again. I was like, yeah. So this is it. Same thing in my professional MMA career. A very first guy that I lost to with a stupid mistake where I was beating him, and suddenly I made an error and I got caught in a submission. And to me, to get caught in a submission, it was like, ugh. Same thing. I didn't accept that loss. I worked tirelessly. I worked tremendously, never to get caught again in the submissions and MMA fights. And 5 times it was offered to this guy to fight me again. Every time he said, guys, it was my only chance to win against OZZY. I'll never win against him again. This guy is crazy. I'm not going to fight him. So these are just my personal examples of not accepting a loss. Recognizing I wasn't delusional about what just transcended. It happened. But I wasn't accepting. No way. If I accepted, I wouldn't have the drive.
Fire.
Yeah. Yes. So it's just my personal experience. I know there's so many athletes, so many businessmen, so many doctors who went through the same scenario where through the failures, they weren't accepting the failures. They were recognizing and moving to fix it. This is my point of view on this one.
So I'm going to ask you more from a psychological perspective, I would say. Because what happens when you don't accept something, when I say accept, that means make full peace with it. You're not going to find peace.
No, I do not want the peace until what I want is achieved.
But you see, it takes a very special type of person to be settled with not having peace.
Yeah.
Not everyone has the ability to be this way.
It's called emotional intelligence.
So if I'm a person that needs to accept something, it's like I cannot function as a normal human. It's consuming me. Like maybe most of my day, I'm always thinking about this thing. I either have to accept it or do something about it, and I'm failing to. I don't have the mental clarity. I don't have the intelligence. Whatever it is, I don't have what it takes for me to find the next step. So I'm stuck with accepting it, and I don't even know how to accept it. So
then don't function as a human being. Why to live if you cannot do that part? You see what I'm talking about? It's like there is no other side.
But how
just
do you
by
accept?
trying, by putting effort into not accepting and recognizing I lost, but I'm not accepting this, and I have to do something about it. And I do not want to accept peace. I do not want to accept comfort. Naturally, your brain will find the way to adapt to it as long as you're using rational tools to do it. And this is now where we open in the subject of guidance. You have to have some form of framework, some form of guidance to facilitate these kind of emotional battles you're going through. This is where we tap into what formed you when you were 6 years old and watching something. What was your mentor? You understand what I'm talking about? This is where all those little things come in place. Do you understand? So if you don't have it naturally, find the one who has it. And don't settle until you find somebody. Find somebody you think he can help you with this, follow it. It doesn't work, go find somebody else. It doesn't work, go find somebody else. Do not sit. And at the end of the day, there's an interesting mentality. I think it works in every aspect of life, and it works in any generation. There's 2 ways of leaving this worldly dimension for man. Either fighting with a sword or under the shield. Which one is it? That's it. Which one do you want? How do you want to go? Having the sword in your hand and seeing what's killing you, or being under the shield and dying under the shadow? Which one do you choose? That's it. So if you chose the shield, don't complain that, I cannot do this, I cannot fight, I don't have it in me. Well, it's on you, brother. It's on you. What would you do then if you were born on an island? The animal in you would find the way. Maybe in the process you would lose your mind, but you found the way to die with a sword.
It's like you can say, you can connect it to that quote of prefer being a warrior living in a garden than a gardener living at war. Let's say.
Yeah. Or being a gardener in a war.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a fundamental process, man. The problem is, one of the big problems also, to my opinion, that I've been analyzing and recognizing with all these emotional intelligence questions and emotional labyrinth of people, is they see word stress from a very odd and limited perspective. Stress is something very good for us. And believe it or not, everything in universe grows according of the amount of stress they receive. As more stress something receives, stronger, bigger it becomes. All right? A tree's roots, they strengthen through the tree recognizing and analyzing the winds that it receives. Correct? Same the human mind. There's interesting poem about stress and about adversity. Since I started talking about the trees, let me see if I can recall it. It's by Malcolm something. It's called The Timber. Please don't hold against me if I make errors in it, but it goes as follows. The tree that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but stood out in an open plain and always got its share of rain, never became a forest king, but lived and died a scrubby thing. The man who never had to toil to gain and farm his patch of soil, who never had to win his share of sun and sky and light and air, never became a manly man, but lived and died as he began. Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger wind, the stronger trees. The further sky, the greater length. The more the storm, the more the strength. By rain and snow, by sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and man, good timbers grow. Where thickest lies the forest growth, we find the patriarchs of both. They hold counsel with the stars, whose broken branches show the scars of many winds and much of strife. This is the common law of life.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yes. This pretty much explains what we were talking about. A great analogy of a tree and a human's character.
That makes sense. I mean, like we said previously, like, for example, adversity, etc. It makes a man. It makes a human being.
Yeah. It's a part of nature. So to say, how can I live without it? It's like, well, that means you do not want progress.
Like me personally, for example, sometimes I take it to a bad extreme, but I don't find it comfortable living at a constant state of peace.
Yeah.
It
shouldn't be. It's wrong. It's unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's unhealthy. A perfect medical example of a man in coma. What do? They're trying to stress his muscles. They squeeze his muscles. They're trying to put some stress. How come his body is going through degradation? He's just laying down. He's receiving nutrients. How come he's not growing bigger?
Yeah.
His body's becoming weaker, smaller, and more sick as he lays on his back. This is one of the fundamental, little extreme examples, but get your ass up, get moving, step by step, go to your goal, go through adversity, enjoy the battle, and die with a sword in your hand, seeing what's fighting you, rather than under the shield, dying and going from this world in the shadow. That's just my perspective on life. That is something that I would like to be remembered for. But again, we're human. We are designed in a way where things in our life always working in a level changes. Some days we're on a high horse, some days we're barely crawling, you know. So, but no matter what state of mind or physical state you're in, as long as we're able to keep our eyes on a North Star and to keep moving towards it, we got this.
On a mission, you have a goal, like you said, goal-oriented. You have clear vision, like on your mission and the thing you want to accomplish. That's a cheat code.
Yeah,
really.
It is.
Speaking
It is
of cheat codes,
uh-huh.
sorry, like you walking around in life, how do you feel? Because like you have 6 years in life, way more than I do, and you have way more wisdom than I did. You traveled around, spoke to a lot of interesting people. You've read, you've listened, and you have the fundamentals of understanding what makes a human being. And you're still on the journey. You're not complete yet. Like, how does it feel to have the ability to break down every person's action, knowing where he's coming from? Like, I feel like it's kind of a superpower. You understand? Maybe my question is not clear
Please
enough.
elaborate on it.
Yeah, so, for instance, a person acting out, you can immediately break it down to, okay, this person is acting out because they feel this way and they might have been embarrassed by this, or they might have been, you understand what I'm saying?
Correct,
Like
yeah.
they having the ability to break down an ability to its root, an action to its root. Like, do you find, especially at the gym, like with your students, you realize the person is acting out and you already have the ability to break it down, or he's acting out because maybe he lost against this guy. Yeah.
It's I truly believe it's just fundamental experience. So much of that actually comes subconsciously through sheer hours you spend within the activity. You know, as a human beings, if we have healthy average brain and our senses are working at least on average standards, whatever craft we're working with, we're picking up certain clues, certain subconscious signals that allows us to get some form of navigation through the trenches of the scenarios in that particular craft. So being a coach who was the student for the longest time, I'm able to see where the certain emotions are coming from, not just from the coach's perspective, but from a fighter perspective. And by combining and synchronizing the two experiences, I'm able to come up with certain solutions and answers to specific scenarios and moments that's happening in front of me.
And I realize that a lot of people, first of all, lack that. And second of all, I don't know about you. Maybe you, Yusuf, can even chime in on this. I remember there was a very specific time in my life where I realized that I am not the main character of this universe and the world does not revolve around me. Every person out there is the same as I am. They have their own brain, they have their own perspective, and they generate their own thoughts, and everything that I'm dealing with and I'm feeling, they do as well. While my whole life before that, I never thought this way. And I remember maybe I was 15, which now thinking about it, I think it's way too late to have that realization. Like, I was 15 when I realized, like, I'm not alone. These are not fill-in characters in my world to design it. No, these are actual humans with their own emotions, with their own feelings, thoughts, and all of that. And that immediately made me more wary about my surrounding, making sure that I never disturb anyone's peace, make like synergy, make sure that the synergy is always there within the environment. Do you relate with what I'm saying?
If I had to guess, make an educated guess, you went through self-realization and self-recognition. This is, to my opinion, one of the highest knowledge degrees you can attain. To know yourself, to recognize yourself, but not accept it. You recognize your strengths, your weaknesses, you recognize your incomplete character, You recognize that you are perfect creation whose choices are not always perfect. Okay? And you recognize that nothing lasts in our world, in our dimension, and everybody's replaceable. This is a profound recognition of a human being. I believe that every single human being must attain this. It's a special knowledge, yet it's a fundamental. It should be a common knowledge. Okay, you understand that you do hold a spot in this universe. From one perspective, it's invisible spot. It's so invisible that if it's gone right now and reappears 1,000 times, nothing will change in the universe. And then the other perspective, that it's a small part of this universe, yet it does contribute to the whole mechanism. You understand? What makes the difference is what choices you make. Okay, how do you choose to take part in this mechanism of the universe? Okay, do you choose to take part as just a dust that will be blown off and will be forgotten, or as something that will be passing down certain energy to the next piece, So there's part of you that will live beyond that. That's why so many ambitious men, one of the things after they would achieve power, after they would achieve knowledge, after they would achieve recognition, one thing they all were striving for. What was it? Would you know?
All the men?
So many big achievers, like let's say conquerors.
Power.
They have power.
Statues.
They have status.
No, I mean actual physical statues.
Oh, statues. Yeah. That's part of power. That's part of...
Immortality?
Thank you.
All right.
They all, when they reached one point, they said, when they recognized, oh, this is nothing. It can go. It came like this. It can go like this. What do I want next? I want this to last. Immortality. And they would, and so many men, they search for immortality from different perspectives, from different ways. Some wanted to impregnate as many women as possible, thinking that they will extend themselves. But to my belief, one of the best ways to earn immortality is to strive for success, the end goal of which is so noble that generations after you will be benefiting from your success. Benefiting. That's it. That means to get something so valuable, to work so hard for it, and then give it away. And it will be ungiven. One generation, it keeps giving. Next generation, it keeps giving. To me, to my perspective, to my point of view on life, if a man can create that, that's immortality. Immortality, how they want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's immortality. To achieve that, I think that's highest levels of immortality you can achieve for this limited dimension of this world.
If you think about it, yeah, that's true. I mean, when you hear the stories of the ancient generals or warriors, that Sun Tzu, those guys that left a real mark, let's say, on the...
Aren't they immortal? You're saying his name right
Yeah.
now. Aren't they immortal? You don't even know exactly how he looks. You don't know how he sounds.
Yeah.
How many years behind he existed in this dimension? You understand? Now he's in a different dimension, and yet, right now you mentioned his name. You actually, as you were mentioning his name, you had a figure in your head, in your vision, how he looks. Of course. So now you're telling me he's dead? Come on.
It's true.
Come on. He multiplied himself through his work.
You envision yourself writing a book one day.
So when I was about 23, I used to have these conversations often. And majority of time I would have these conversations with a man way older than me. I would share my opinions and they would be just fascinated how this such a young fella is talking like this, is able to hit the spots like this. And I remember several of them would tell me, oh, you have to write a book, you have to write a book. It was around 22, 23. And I started writing things. I was writing. Sometimes I would force myself to write. Sometimes whenever it comes naturally, I would. And then I stopped. I told myself, wait a minute. Let's hold back. Now I'm going to do it only when I feel like doing it. I restarted when I moved to Dubai, 2023. And I said, I remember I had it saved in my handwritten notebook. I have a lot of handwritten notebooks. Maybe one day I will show what's in it. It's some good stuff. Something like this, like what you have.
No.
I have like 3 of them. I opened and I read. I almost threw up. I said, what a punk. What an arrogant idiot this Azamat was when he was 23. Put a big red cross on everything. I said, no way. This is a complete trash. I start writing again. I wrote probably good 4 pages. I stopped. And then I read the book of Walter Russell by Glenn Clark. And then I said, oh, I'm too young to write it. I'm still so immature. I think I know something. Oof. I'm still a child. I said, no way. Let's pull back. So if before I was dying to do it, now it's like, if I ever live to the moment of my character being able to properly express the accumulated experience and share that information which can turn into a knowledge, then I will write something. Until then, shut the fuck up and sit down. That's it.
You feel like you have to earn to write the book instead of just writing a book for the sake of it.
Yeah, it's not just earning. It's
it's personal.
It's I think to write the book, you have to be so self-aware of your own ego to be able to write the book in a way where it touches the essence of the reader. But if it's written with an ego, I don't think it's going to go far. It's just going to be another published book that few people will read, and that's it. It's at least it either has to be done as an artistic thing, as a craft, or as a science. When it's science, there's facts, false and right. There's right and wrong. That's it. You say, hey, when the wind blows, this happens. You just state in facts and you explain in how facts work. Okay? But if you want to write something philosophical, I think it has to come from the depths of your heart and your mind, your essence, to touch the essence.
You emphasized, like, now this is the 3rd time, if I'm not mistaken, about the ability to express yourself or express your thoughts. Elaborate more on that. Like, because to a casual person, I would say, or to anyone watching, they'd be like, I think of something, then I just speak it. But it's much more deeper than that to you, at least.
I believe so. There are times, so much times, when I express myself and I'm like, what the hell did I just said? What a disastrous way of sharing my opinions. But for example, when I'm at work, when I'm working with my students, I'm able to be way more selective and way more analytic in how I share information. And again, none of us share knowledge. Please remember this and do a little research, and you will understand when you start defining the word knowledge and word information, you'll start understanding that none of us can share knowledge. Okay? We can share information. We can share information with practicality. We can share information with emotions. We can share information in many different ways. It is up to the listener, to the receiver, to choose what to make out of this information. Can the receiver turn this information into a knowledge? Okay? Therefore, when I'm at work, I believe I'm at my highest degree of the ability to share healthy and productive information to those around me. But sometimes during the day, I relax, I forget, I get lazy, I get distracted, and certain way how I express myself is not always how exactly it should be or how I exactly feel or what I wanted to express. Therefore, sometimes we ask forgiveness and we try to correct ourselves and express ourselves differently.
Do you wish you are a robot? Do you wish you can become a robot?
No, I do not want to be a robot. It's I think then the satisfaction I get in overcoming my emotions would be gone. You understand? I want to get a little satisfaction.
You appreciate the human element.
I want to enjoy, at least secretly in my heart, that yes, majority of people done this way due to their emotional state, and I was able to do it this way. Good job, Azamat. You know, like I want to give myself a good job pat on my shoulder once in a while.
Because ultimately the end of the path that you're on is kind of like you mentioned, ego. If you strip your ego, you're as close as you get to a robot.
Yeah, but it's impossible. Nobody can strip the ego.
Yeah,
it's impossible. It's a creature that's with us.
You can tame it, but you can't.
Yeah. You can put chains on it. You can make a friend of it. But you cannot control it. It's the never-ending battle. It's a never-ending battle. Okay, it's a. I don't know if you guys want to include this into the podcast, and I don't like talking too much about religion as well because I'm nobody in my religion. But since we're talking about the ego, even in a religion of Islam, our first enemy is not shaitan. Our first enemy is our own duty self, our own ego. There will be times when shaitan will be learning from us how to trick us. Meaning from our ego. When we let the ego flow, the shaitan will be watching and learning from it. So it shows, it's proven, it is taught to us that the enemy who will be with us all the time, even when the shaitan is not there, what is it? It's our own dirty self. Perfect example is just the holy month of Ramadan that we just had. Every sin, every shortcoming that we make during that Ramadan, we cannot blame on shaitan anymore. He's on vacation. Who fucked it up? I did. No more shaitan. You understand? So even on a holy month, even when the shaitan is locked up, the ego is always there. The ego is always there. So to strip ourselves from our ego, then we're not human anymore. I don't know, maybe we're something else. Maybe they are creatures. I believe angels has no ego. They're made of light. So that would be pretty good to be an angel too.
You know that every human being had the choice to be either an angel or
I had no idea. Like I said,
every human being in Islam, we believe that every human being had the choice. We made the choice. We chose to be human.
Wow, incredible.
This is one of the things that Allah will, in the judgment day, when someone will try to argue his case, and why did you create me as a human? I say, you chose this.
Yeah, wow. I didn't know
you
that.
had the option.
Yeah.
That's even to answer the question of why I never chose to be born. Allah says in His holy book, in the sense like on that day, nobody's gonna have any objection.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna remember. Everybody's gonna know, and no one's gonna have any objection.
No more playing games.
Yeah, like they will again. God is the most fair. So Well, yeah, about the ego. So some people claim that they found the ability to strip the ego from themselves by moving to substances like psychedelics, mushrooms, acid, and stuff like that. Things that will DMT, like even natural drugs that have some compounds that are already
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca traps. But in your opinion, like even what they experience as an ego death, that's not a real ego. I would say it's an injured ego, but not completely dead ego.
I would just say I don't know much about these drugs. There's very little and brief information that I know about these type forms of drugs and substances that allow people to enter a different dimensions or per se open the third eye. Okay. Using those artificial ways of doing so is just bringing unbalance to your well-being, to your complete structure of a human being. Okay, there's some artificial things happening to you. The result may feel good, but it didn't happen organically because the ego is part of us. It's not a t-shirt that we took off and threw away. It's within us, you know. So to rid of it means to cut us short. Okay. Interesting thing, for example, since we're talking about ego and people saying, "Oh, I have no ego," or "I want to get rid of ego." For my fighters, I feed their egos. I want them to have egos. At least the moment they put the gloves on. Because a fighter who doesn't have ego, when she hits the fan and the push comes to shove, they're going to let it go. They're going to accept the situation. But the fighters with that little darkness and the demon-like attitude inside of them, within those tough moments when they're deep in the trenches, the ego in them, the dark side in them, going to say, fuck it, I will take it all. I don't care what I give, but I will give everything to get my hand raised. So for the fighter, I'm always indirectly feeding their egos too. You know, I do not want to have fighters who's completely broken, who's completely submitted. I want them to have that chip on the shoulder. I want them to
kill or be killed mentality.
Yeah. You have to have that. After the fight is over, like be a good guy, you know, control yourself. But it's incredibly challenging to have that switch, like without going extreme one way or another, you know. And if somebody can do that, that's incredible. Whoever is able to achieve the switch when they're going into the battle to turn on the dark, the demonic side of you, and when the fight is over to turn that off, hats off to those people. That's incredible trait. But if you kill the ego in somebody, these are sick people. This is what happens to people who's getting oppressed a lot. You know, they get broken, they accept. This happens to kids whose parents are treating them poorly, and kids are losing their self-identity, you know. So it's a very sensitive subject, the ego is. And I wouldn't say I'm 100% qualified to go deep in this subject. Me, myself, fighting my ego on a daily basis.
It's a constant process.
Process. I ask this from, do you think of giving yourself a platform where you can speak, whether it's lectures or just sharing your thoughts? Because me sitting here, like, it's a privilege, and I've been enjoying this whole... Like, do you think of doing something to put your thoughts out there?
When I was moving to Dubai back in 2023, I had an idea that I would start my own podcast where I can speak my mind and where I can answer questions from people around the world, because naturally I'm already doing that. If you guys see my phone, the amount of messages that I'm receiving, people asking me about things like, for example, last week somebody reached out to me and they said they want to commit a suicide. I'm like, God damn it, like, you know, why this is on my shoulders, you know? But I cannot say why this is on my shoulders, you know? It's on my shoulders because somehow through life I was granted the experience and the information which turned into a knowledge of that particular subject. So I had the answer. And usually, like, I scan through my incoming DMs and I delete majority of fundamental DMs, like, hi coach, hi, like, there's a million. I just don't. If I start opening and replying to everybody, it just doesn't work. I look at the profile. If I'm not hiding this. I really selecting people who I'm replying, you know. So if somebody's messaging me, they should know I'm selecting people how I'm replying, because when you open my message requests, DM requests, you can read a little bit at the beginning of the message. So I read. If it starts somewhat averagely proper, I click on it. It still didn't accept. I look through. I watch the profile. If I feel like there's worth of replying to this profile, I do reply. But I receive some silly questions and some very inappropriate DMs that majority of them I'm deleting. Anyway, this one, I saw how it started. I was like, if I click, I have to answer. I click, it was a humongous message and I had to reply. So I replied, okay? I don't know if the person was lying, just wanted to get my attention or not, but the individual replied that they feel so much better, they found an answer, and they're going to try their best now not to kill themselves. You know, I strongly advise them to seek help, to speak to their family, to make sure they see a professional. I am not a professional psychiatrist. I advise them on the right things. I didn't just give them an answer thinking like, yeah, here's the answer. No. I gave them my opinion. I explained to them that it's just my opinion and I don't know them. I cannot give them the right answer without knowing them, without knowing exactly what's happened in their life. Therefore, speak to your family members, speak to a professional, this and that. But the point is, I'm receiving a lot of these messages. So I told myself, it would be great to start some form of a podcast where if somebody either shy to reach out to me or I just deleted their DM without replying to them, now they can actually hear some answers through my podcasting. But oh my God, since I moved here, the amount of adversities that I had to go through in the terms of understanding the politics in this place, understanding the format of action in this place, it's very different than Russia and United States. Okay, it's a pretty much a new world, and I had to do a lot of adjustments, and it consumed so much of my time, my resources. Therefore, I never started this, but sitting here and talking about this and being able to express myself due to your investment into this, it's a win-win situation. People like you helping people like me to express themselves if they want to express themselves. And coming back to what I was saying before, this is the power of the community, creating something that helps others. You guys invested into something. You guys worked hard towards something through stress and adversity to give back to somebody who needed this missing puzzle. You know, and being able to come here, being invited in this awesome facility to share my thoughts, my knowledge, it means a lot. So you guys are doing a good job.
Please allow me, like, whenever you think about doing that, I will help you out, man.
Thank you.
I'm serious.
I'm going to take on this offer. After the podcast is over, we're going to talk more about
this. I'm dead serious. I will help you because, like, the format that you mentioned, having a Q&A format, I think is perfect. Where you have, and especially to filter out through the nonsense, you can allow just the paid subscribers to have the ability to post their questions.
Yes.
And you can answer them one.
It's
going to be great for you, man.
I believe so. I have what to share. I have a very unique life experience. I think majority of people who listen to me would benefit from what I'm saying.
I agree.
I truly believe in this, and this is not coming from the me boasting about myself or an arrogant observation of my abilities. This is really, I'm trying to be as rational and as unbiased as possible, and this is facilitated from the feedback I receive of people who have ever sit down and listened to me more than 30 minutes.
I will say this from my perspective. You walked in, I respect you. I know what you do in life, but I've never met you personally. I've seen your clips, I've seen all of that. It's an honor to meet you, pleasure. Then we started speaking, and then at one point, as we were standing here, I started laughing. I'm like, oh, we're gonna have so much fun today.
Hey, good.
I
good,
started
man.
realizing the type of conversation that I'm gonna be having today, and I got so excited. I'm like, let's go. Let's jump on
Awesome,
the
awesome. Hey,
podcast.
the energy is mutual. It's very interesting. It's like, as more you work with people, you're building this antenna on top of you that catches the radio signals of another human being. And the moment it clicks, the moment we find a similar vibrations of our radio signals, ooh, it's magic happens. Ideas are born, tasks are completed, a wealth of information is shared, and it's a facilitation work of one another. It multiplies. It is even proven in science. Two human beings joining each other. I'll try to make this in the simplest analogies as possible. If you bring to this community 10 units of energy, that is your maximum extent. Like the most you can bring to this table is 10 units of energy, correct? I come in and I bring 10 units of energy as well. So us two right now brought to the room equal amount of energy. 10 plus 10 would equal what? 20. So naturally we assume that, okay, now in a room we have 20 units of energy, correct? It is proven by a science that it is not 20, it is 30. Because the energy doesn't just summarize, it grows beyond the equation. You understand what I'm talking about? It is insane, and this is proven. So the two energy fields of two human beings, when they combine, it's not just the number of your units and my units summary. It grows beyond. It grows beyond. Now you add the third person to it. It does the same process. If you bring 10, I bring 10, and when he brings 10, it is not 30. It will be 50. And as more join to this circle, the circle grows even bigger. Showing to us and encouraging us to work in a unity, to work together. Show me anything that has the most value in our recorded history. Is done individually, is done one way or another in the group of like-minded individuals. Something that left the biggest impacts. Don't debate me with saying, oh, how about the scientists? How about Einstein and this? And do you think they were alone? If you really think they were alone and studying all this just by themselves, you're mistaken, my friends. You understand? They all had facilitators around them. They were the main antenna, the main receiver, but it was always facilitation, the auxiliary tools around them. You understand what I'm talking about? It's always like this. So, and there is amazing experiment using horses, actually. They used horses to measure horsepowers and to measure the difference between putting two horses that have been raised together and making them pull something versus putting two horses that they never have seen each other and making them pull something. The results are as what I told you earlier. One day you guys will research it. It's incredible. These little things, they show. So coming back to what you said, the feeling that you have enjoying our company, it only happens because it is mutual. If it wouldn't be mutual, you wouldn't feel that. You would be like, something is off. I'm not feeling it. So when the two connect and the energy starts cycling, every cycle it makes, it's bigger. You send it back again, it comes back bigger, and it grows, it grows, it grows, it grows. It's incredible process. Those who believe in it, those who analyze it, and those who practice it are among most of the successful men on the planet.
This is how, when I always say to my family, for example, that the world is a magical place. You can't see it like a very typical vanilla view.
No
you
way.
have to see the...
We are so blind. Yeah. We're so blind and deaf. We don't hear, we don't see 99% of what's happening on this planet. I mean, we're designed, if we would be allowed to see all the spectrums of colors, we would go blind. We wouldn't be able to handle it. You know, there's many stories about this. Those who open the doors, those who lift the veils, the majority of them, they go insane. They lose their minds. Yep. They cannot handle the even extra 5%.
But it will happen to every single one of us when we die.
Yes, because we'll be prepared to see it.
Yep.
We'll be prepared to see. Certain veils will be lifted and we'll see it. And hopefully we'll see the good colors.
Inshallah.
Hopefully we'll see the good colors.
Inshallah. Do you have any more questions? I have one request.
Please
don't let this be our last one. I mean it. Like, I mean it. Please, down in the future, a year from now, we need to have another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially
it will be
after
my pleasure.
we've read the books that you've suggested, all the things that once we digest this whole episode,
yes,
we need to have another episode.
100%.
This
100%.
needs a part two.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. You know, I covered maybe 1 point of the things that I mentioned, and I ended up writing way more things that I've learned on the podcast rather than visiting some of the things that I wanted to mention.
Awesome. No, I really enjoyed. The reason why I was able to give out organically what I have in mind due to the energy that I received from you guys. It was so easy for me to talk. I felt so comfortable in this environment. You guys are doing a great job with this. I saw the gym. I loved it. One day we're going to come roll around a little bit.
No place.
It's great job, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
It's our pleasure.
Giving us
our
our time.
pleasure.
That was good.
That's it.
But I'm lost for words. Wallah, I'm lost for words. This was by far, you can pass it on to the camera. This was